he has been diligently battling hair thinning for the last 12 years. Nothing worked.
Men are taking capsules for hair loss and they're causing more anxiety. It's obvious to see that all the hair is coming back very nicely.
Dr. Ray Nettles is redefining hair and hormone health with data-driven precision, transforming patients through custom biochemical insights. Get ready for a conversation about real results and lasting health.
Welcome back to the Q&A with Dr. Ray podcast. Every week we answer questions and we look at cases in order to learn more about the science behind hair loss. So today, Dr. Ray, we have a case to review, and this is a client called Ken. He's a 34-year-old graphic designer by day, and he's in the city of Los Angeles, and he is a drummer by night, and he has been diligently battling hair thinning for the last 12 years. He's tried all sorts of gimmicks, all the over-the-counter shampoos. He's tried laser, he's tried Rogaine, Minoxidil, he's tried Finasteride. Nothing worked. And he had given up hope and was relying on those topical fibers that you can put in your hair for the last 10 years to really hide his and conceal his embarrassment, until finally he reached a point of his hair loss where it was no longer possible to hide it anymore. And then down on his luck, he noticed our Stop and Regrow hair sign talking about our personalized approach based on your blood with amazing before and after results, which we have up on the front of the office, while he was driving around Santa Monica. And he took this as a sign that this personalized approach would be more effective than his general try everything with his stubborn hair loss issue.
All right, that sounds very good. So he saw a sign and it happened to be our sign, and he came in to get his hair loss taken care of. So for 10 years, he's tried it all. And that sounds pretty common for our patients that come to the office for the past few years or seasons. They've tried a lot of different gimmicks, a lot of all natural stuff, shampoos, lotions, creams, drops, mushroom oils, I don't know. And they get to the point where it doesn't work, and then they want to find something. So I'm glad I remember this case. So we're going to see the photos for Ken. Okay.
Yeah. And part of the problem too is that those over-the-counter things are priced at a price point where they know people don't think too much before buying them. So that is a trap that people fall into, because they go, oh, it's less than $100. I might as well just try it.
Good point to make, Tracy. A lot of cheap things are out there and they're priced so that people will make those choices. But if you really think about today and where we live and the age that we live in, for about $100, getting a customized oral supplement is about the fair price. So I would expect $100-ish a month for customized oral supplements. And if I were to get a topical customized to my personalized solution, I would expect to pay about $100, $120 a month. And that's what our program costs, right? Our oral supplement is $100-ish, and the topical is $100-ish per month, depending on the amount of drops that you need. So some people, Tracy, come to see us, they've only got 3 zones that are affected, as opposed to someone with 5 zones affected. So you can just determine that the person with less zones affected will utilize less of the topical. Therefore, that cost will be decreased over time for that individual.
Yeah.
So every patient has a personalized program based on their blood work, right? Their customized levels inside their bloodstream, as well as the pattern of hair loss, how many zones are affected, and what type of hair loss pattern that they are suffering from. So we will take a look at the pattern. So we first saw this patient, Ken, came into the office with stubborn hair loss. And the first thing we do is look for the pattern of hair loss. So this first thing you can realize is this is a train wreck, right? This is a mess. So this patient had been throwing in topics and fibers as long as he had enough hairs to hold on to that topic and fibers. But imagine if you put topic on top of a bald head or on top of your forehead, it'll fall right off. So the patient had finally gotten to a point where he had nowhere else to go. So he came to us, and it's obvious that he had a long history of genetic hair thinning, which is pretty much all over his head. We'll draw that out for us to see here. So he's got hair has receded in the corners, receded in the front, and then the center line of hair loss has really thinned out to about right above the ears on both sides. And then zone 5 is more of a circle, and you see he has the hair that's affected about as big as a grape, and actually the baldness in the front area here.
Yeah.
So this was a combination of really bad, prolonged genetic hair loss. And then we looked at him under the microscope, and some of those open spots you can see through here, there's follicles missing. So as this patient had hair loss, genetic hair loss that continued and continued, he started getting stressed about the hair and how it looked. And he started getting the immune-related hair loss, which is the more of a stress-induced type of hair loss. So he had a combination. So we had to treat him with topical and oral supplement. And so we realized that he needs the topical because he has the missing follicles. And then we see that he has a genetic hair loss pattern. So we thought we would get the blood panel, which is the BRC, or the blood work, which will determine what goes inside the capsule. Because as we remember from the video last week, we discussed the underlying causes of genetic hair loss found inside our bloodstream. And it wasn't just one molecule, it was a combination and ratio of the different molecules of the hormone axis. So we asked this patient to get blood work. And before we ran the blood work, we asked a few questions about anxiety and depression. And the patient had positive history of anxiety, depression, to the point of necessitating medication in the past. He's off that medication now, but still is anxious. And when the patient was taking finasteride, he noticed a lot more anxiety. And we will go into the blood work and find out, is there a molecular etiology of his anxiety, and what would make his anxiety worse if he were to take the capsule finasteride without getting his blood work taken. So he had never had labs taken and was on several different types of medications. So we started the patient on the topical, and then we asked him to get the blood work. And you're going to pull up the blood work for us. Okay. And we're going to be looking at his blood work. On the left is when the patient came in to see us. And then fortunately for us today, we have his after blood work. So you guys and girls will get to see the blood work when the patient came in to see us, and then his response to our personalized oral supplementation. So first thing we'll do, we'll break down the BRC into nutrition and genetics. Nutrition are things that you can do, your choices of food. And genetics are things that you have no choice, right? Mom and dad gave you the recipes found inside your cells, inside your DNA, okay? And this will determine our hormone axis, which is at the bottom here, hormone axis, okay? All right. So the patient came in eating fast food and anything he thought he liked, and it was a mess. So his A1C is a 90-day average of his sugar intake. 5.6 is the start of diabetes. So we gave him several recommendations to help decrease that. And then, which he did, and he came back to us at 5.2, and our goal is 5.0. So he did a really good job in the course of about 10 months here. Okay. All right, good. His protein level when he came in was 6.8. We taught him how the small intestines absorbs protein at the rate of 6 to 10 grams per hour, and asked him to eat smaller meals and more frequent meals throughout the day, and to supplement with nuts twice a day, which he did, and increased his protein from 6.8 to 7.2. He's doing a good job. Our goal is 7.5. So we're going to continue working on this. HDL is the good fat. The good fat is how we make our testosterones in our body, gives us the fat for the nerve cells to help us think and regulate how we behave. Okay. So good fat is important to our diet. He came in at 45 and our goal was over 60. We made some recommendations with the almonds and avocados and olive oil, and he increased to 56. So he's doing a very good job. So over the course of 10 months, nutrition, the patient is doing a very good job. He gets an A. Okay. Now the hormone axis genetics, this is why he came to see us. So the patient came in and he is 34-year-old male, and the total testosterone 348. And you see the more therapeutic for a 34-year-old would be over 600. And you see the range over here, it goes up to 1,000. So you want to be over 300 and beneath 1,000. So at his age, so testosterone in a male after the age of about 35, 40 starts to decrease each decade. You'll lose 4 to 7% per decade until eventually you get to the point where you have very little left. Okay. So right around 40 is when guys will start to replace their testosterone inside their body. So this patient came in at 34 years old with very low total testosterone, partly because of his nutrition, which is not optimal enough to help him make the right hormones in his body. But let's look anymore. So the patient came in with low total testosterone, free testosterone, which is the good one at 10.2, and we want to be over 12. The DHT testosterone, which is the bad one, is at 53. Very obvious. The patient has a genetic defect and the enzyme involved is making too much of the DHT and not enough of the free T. Okay. We also looked to see how much estrogen the male was making, because women have estrogen, men have testosterone. Men also have a little bit of estrogen and women have a little bit of testosterone. And that's the difference right there, is how much are you making and how much is too much. With 2 decades, 20 years worth of data from 6 continents, we have determined the precise optimal amount of estrogen inside a male's body. And if you have too much estrogen, it can cause anxiety, too many thoughts. And if you have too low of estrogen, it can cause you to be depressed with not enough thoughts. So the patient came in at 37. And for a male, we want to be between 20 and 30. Remember, not too high and not too low. 20% of men have a problem with their estrogen inside their body. So remember, we talked about the patient on occasion, he would take finasteride and it would cause his anxiety to go up. That happens because using the first law of thermodynamics that we talked about in video 2, I believe it was, when the DHT hormone goes down, which is what the finasteride capsule is doing, the estrogen will go up. Like a seesaw, when one molecule goes down, another molecule will go up. That happens in 20% of men, causing problems inside their brains. So men are taking capsules for hair loss and they're causing more anxiety, leading to more stress, causing more hair loss from the immune-related hair loss. So that's precisely what this patient had been doing the last several years, treating his hair loss with finasteride and Rogaine. The other hormone down here is the prostatic-specific antigen, which reflects the health of the prostate. And when you're on the program, we expect the prostate to become healthier because less influence from the dihydrotestosterone molecule. Okay. So the patient came in, Tracey. It was obvious to see that he has 2 enzymes that are defective. One enzyme that regulates his estrogen, one enzyme that regulates the ratio of the good testosterone versus the bad testosterone. Okay. So we went in there and treated both of the molecules, and we expected the estrogen to come down to between 20 and 30, which it did. we expected the dihydrotestosterone to come down to be a number that would be lower than the good testosterone or the free testosterone, and it would be between the range of 3 to 10. We did that. The number is 9.8, and that number is between 3 and 10. And then the free testosterone, which is the good testosterone, went up. Our goal was over 12. We got 14.7. And how did we do that? Because we turned dihydrotestosterone into the total testosterone, allowing it to turn into the free testosterone. We then took the estrogen molecule that the patient was making too much of. We turned that into total testosterone, allowing more to go towards the free testosterone. So as long as this patient is taking our capsule, they will have the optimally balanced free testosterone and good testosterone versus the DHT ratio. And they'll also have the estrogen balanced so that they no longer have anxiety and depression. So when this patient comes in the office, we would expect his mood and his general affect, mental affect, to be positive, to feel better. And we're going to expect to see some evidence of hair growth. And the patient came in, Tracey, for his 9-month follow-up. And you have the data for us, or you have the images?
Yeah, I have that. I do. We have the after image. Here we go.
Okay. So we have a positive nutrition response, which the patient was responsible for. And then we have the positive hormone axis levels, which is the capsule is responsible for that. And here we see the evidence of what happens when good nutrition meets optimal hormone axis, which is the customized supplement. And it's obvious to see that all the hair is coming back very nicely in zone 4. The zones 1, 3, and 2 are starting to march forward, even the zone 5 in the back. So a lot of the improvement of this patient is from the immune-related hair loss. Those missing spots of hair loss all over grew back pretty quickly. And the genetic hair loss is the hair loss running from the bottom of the ears up to the top of the head. And we have a little piece missing in the middle. And then we have the front hairlines that are coming forward and making the hairline come down. So this patient is very happy. This photo is without the fibers, which is very amazing. If you can, we'll show the before photo and the after photo together. This patient was extremely happy. Now, we still have a little more room to grow more hair, and he'll be with us probably for another 24 months. And then we would expect to have an entire full head of hair. What do they do when they bring in that thing? They say, okay, clap right here, stop. Okay, next. All right. And now Tracey's going to pull up the photo. So now we have the patient when he came in on the left, his before photo. And then just after 9 months, 10 months, based on the blood work, 9 or 10 month photo. And you see that everything is improved. His overall body habitus looks improved. That was from nutrition. And the hair is picking up with more protein and the right signal to the DNA inside the hair cell. So it wasn't a problem with his hair cells. It was the DNA sending the wrong signal to the cell. So once we improved the signal to the cell with the oral supplement, the hair knew how to grow back. So all that happened was this filled in, this area filled in, and the top got thicker. So with this getting thicker and these areas filling in, it looks like a home run. And this is just 9 months.
Yeah. And also the hairline back here, like this, his natural hairline should be like way down the bottom of this picture here on the left-hand side. So it did come back on the front as well.
Yeah. Everything has improved, and we would expect to see this completely filled in. Like I said, about another 24 months for him to have a full head of hair. And hopefully we'll have another set of photos for you guys. Maybe the next time we'll have a 24-month photo. This is the 9-month, and we'll look for a 24-month photo, and we'll see how much improvement we can get.
Perfect.
All right. Great job, Tracey.
All right.
Okay. That was,
Thanks.